Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Empty Theater web series. My name is Brody. I hosted the Empty Theater podcast until about a year ago and decided to revive the show as a web series. It's a currently weekly, soon to be bi-weekly look at films. Some of my favorites, from recent releases to old favorites to classics to whatever happens to come up on my Netflix on a Sunday afternoon. Now, because the first episode is going up on April 8th, which in many circles has become known as Rex Manning Day, we're going to take a look at the mid-90s cult classic, Empire Records.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
Hey, Joe. What's up with the boss threads, man?
Friggin' Rex Manning Day.
What's up with the hostility, Joe?
Say no more, no more. Mwah.
Lips to fuck, kisses, baby, Zita, Thor, mwah.
Now, Empire Records is notable for a few things. It launched the careers of some future familiar faces like Liv Tyler, Johnny Whitworth, Ethan Embry, Academy Award winner Renee Zellweger, and most of the 2000s CBS primetime lineup in Anthony LaPaglia, Robin Tunney, and Rory Cochrane. But Empire Records is also notable for being a unique entry into the teen movie canon. Now, the teen movie craze of the 80s had been effectively killed by the Gen X slacker films of the early 90s. They were misanthropic spiritual sequels to their John Hughesian predecessors. This kind of fits in both categories, and we were still a few years away from the teen flick craze gaining traction again in the late 90s. So it's kind of a film out of time. But for me personally, and many in my generation, it came along at precisely the right time. It was at a time when I started discovering my own interests in pop culture. Many of the movies that I watched and the music I listened to were guided by my parents. I engaged in what they engaged in.
Warren, look what you took. Rap, metal, rap, metal, Whitney Houston.
It's for my girlfriend, okay?
Sure it is. You know, someone like you needs to diminish their criminal impulses, not magnify them. Maybe some jazz or some classical.
Maybe you bite me.
But it was at this time that I started dictating my own interests in music and movies, and Empire Records was a youthful celebration of music, and a lot of the music I hadn't heard before, like Toad the Wet Sprocket, the Gin Blossoms, and the Cranberries. Now, while I personally credit Batman Forever with guiding my musical interests in my youth, and more on that in a later episode, Empire Records also deserves some of that recognition. But to build on that, the film spoke to me on a very personal level in a way few films had done before. It's about these characters who are trying to find out who they are. Now, I didn't come to this film when it came out in 1995. I was only 10. I came to this film when I was 13, which is a very pivotal age in your youth. That's when you're trying to find out who you are, and that's why these characters speak so personally to me. You see Lucas going through this existential crisis of hiding his fear behind a facade of calm. AJ is trying to come to terms with his love for Corey, but also his future. He wants to know if he should go off to art school in Boston. Corey herself is doing battle with her overbearing father and her academics, which leads to a very Jesse Spano-esque drug addiction. Gina's trying to come to terms with, is she just going to be the sex pot for the rest of her life? Deb has her crisis of life spurred by a long line of people leaving. Joe's trying to keep the dysfunctional family together while everything is spinning out of control. And Mitch just wants to be done with it all. Mark with a K just wants to be Mark with a C. And even the juvenile delinquent who may or may not be called Warren goes through his who am I phase.
What do you want, Warren?
Stop calling me Warren! My name isn't fucking Warren!
His name isn't fucking Warren.
His name isn't fucking Warren. His name isn't fucking Warren? I thought his name was Warren.
Now, a young teen sees these misfit characters going through the very same identity struggles they themselves are going through, and it comes to a happy conclusion. There's that click of connection with these characters and with the films that, hey, maybe I'll find my place as well, like these characters did. And they did. You know, these characters, they turned to the record store and music to find solace when things were spinning out of control for them. I turned to movies, and that's what led to me sitting here today talking to you on the Empty Theater web series. Now, I'm not saying Empire Records is the sole catalyst for the Empty Theater and my love of movies. There's a whole slew of films out there, and we'll talk about each and every one of them. But this is just one facet of that. Why it connected with me and why it connected with a lot of different people. Is Empire Records great cinema or high art? Absolutely not. But it hits that nostalgia button really hard as a thing from your youth that helped you get through your youth. It doesn't deserve a place in the pantheon of great teen movies because as a film, it's sloppily made. It just wanders aimlessly around until it accidentally bumps into a logical conclusion that ties everything up and gives everybody a happy ending. But that's precisely why it is a great film, because it carries that slacker attitude, that damn the man attitude throughout the film. Yes, it's presenting that as the characters, but it's also the film, the spirit of the film itself. So it has great rewatchability. It's just a lot of fun when everything just culminates in this big outdoor party to damn the man and save the Empire. And while the film did come along at precisely the right time for me, I do think there's a time limit on when you can be introduced to the film and still have it resonate with you as it resonated with me and several other fans. Once you hit college, it's not going to have the same impact. I don't think that today's youth will even get it because what's a record store anymore? I mean, they'll probably have to set it at a coffee shop and Starbucks is going to buy it or something like that. It's just not going to be the same. But it's still just a lot of fun to watch. You won't get out of it what I got out of it, but maybe you'll see it for all the flaws that it has that we as fans tend to gloss over because we love it so much. But still, watch Empire Records. It's a lot of fun with a great soundtrack, a lot of great characters. This has been the Empty Theater web series. I'll catch you next week. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on the Empty Theater web series. I'm Brody. You can follow us on Twitter, I'll put that right here, and Facebook will go right here. The links will also be down in the description. You can also subscribe to this channel to make sure that you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.